This is Coda Radio, episode 528 for July 25th, 2023. Hello, friend. Welcome back to Jupiter Broadcasting's weekly talk show, taking a pragmatic look at the art and the business of software development and the world of technology. My name is Chris, and trying out Tuesdays for the first time, it's our host, Mr. Dominic. Hello, Mike.
Good morning, sunshine.
Hey there. We're normally a Monday show, but we moved things around, and I'm kind of glad we did because a lot's going on.
Yeah, so it seems like we're getting the Monday news bus.
Yeah.
First.
Right,
bus.
we get the cycle, and then we get like a day to like process it, and also a few more things came out. Like I think over the weekend or sometime recently, GitHub announced Copilot X, which feels like it's been lost in everything that's going on. So
it's finally out. They mentioned it a couple months ago, but it was kind of like coming soon TM.
Yeah, you still limited signups, but what they're really touting the last couple of days is this chat integration that they've added, powered by GPT-4, and the whole pitch is so you're trying to figure something out. You say, explain this X-reg to me, or explain this idea to me, or create me something that does this, and so it's a chat generative prompt, and then it provides an explanation or the code or whatever it might be. And this is going to be the big change, the big addition.
I heard if you ask it something about Ruby, it actually sends you a wool knit cap and a PBR. So.
Yeah, and then it just plays that random clip of Linus dissing on Ruby developers
All the time. Yeah.
The Ruby people, strange people, started using Git, and suddenly it just exploded.
The other thing they say, this is the part I wanted to run past you, because I was just watching CNBC, like I do, with the live stream before the show, and it's all about only things making money are AI right now, and I was trying to figure out why GitHub would say this, and here's what they write. As we prepare to bring the entirety of GitHub Copilot X to general availability, we believe every developer could be made 10 times more productive. This means 10 days of work done in one day, 10 hours of work done in 1 hour, 10 minutes of work done in a single prompt command. This allows your developers to amplify their truest self-expression, and it'll help a new generation of developers learn how to build at the speed of thought. What do you think, man? 10 times more productive, 10 days of work in one day, 10 hours in 1 hour.
This is my favorite form of math, where we get to figure out what the they're talking about, right? Like, how do you define, this is like that 10x programmer thing that I always get moody about. Is it literally 10x output, or is it 10x, working with the team? I mean, what is 10 times more productive?
Yeah, and is the person have 20 years of experience? Is it their first day on the job? Are they, is
right,
it 10x for all development tasks or certain types?
This is almost like the Stack Overflow problem of, a bunch of brandy green kids out of boot camps can certainly copy pasta your PHP off of Stack Overflow. And, in the very beginning, probably get somewhere, right?
No doubt.
But that very same GitHub post, and just like GitHub, that very same Copilot AI is going to be just a lot more effective in the hands of somebody with 2 decades of experience.
Do you think the plan here is just to pump the astronomical potential of this magical AI until we're through the recession? And this is how they're going to keep bringing money in. Some of the big tech companies just announced their most profitable first half of the year in 20 years. Their H1 for like Amazon and Googs and Microsoft was their most profitable in 20 years after just laying everybody off, by the way. Imagine being there for 15 years, getting laid off via email, and then hearing a couple of months later they just had their best H1 in 20 years. And it's a lot of that is the companies that have some AI play that are getting the money right now. And I just wonder if everybody just is leaning into these claims to kind of keep that going for a bit, because there's nothing else going on money-wise for them. Everything else is kind of sucking.
Well, it also helps when you have Fran Drescher, Sarah Silverman, and everybody and their mother suing you, because it kind of lends credence to your claims, right?
I got to say, though, for a guy like me, who is probably, as rough as it gets, going in there and getting a starter with Copilot X, if I could say, hey, I want this. I mean, I go to ChatGPT already sometimes to get an idea for, say, a Home Assistant YAML configuration to set up a sensor, and I just don't really remember, or I don't want to copy it or whatever. I mean, this is a random example, but it'll produce YAML results that I basically kind of consider template-ish, that I have to go tweak everything, but it gets me started, right? It just gets the basic format for me. It gets it kind of laid out, and then I can just get rolling. I actually do find that useful, and if you integrated that into an IDE directly, that seems, that would, I don't know about 10x, but it might keep me from going to Google as much and save me clicking around and reading different threads as much. And that would probably save me some time. I think that's about it, though.
I mean, I guess so, right?
Yeah.
Is it like, so real-time update here. I apparently already have Copilot X.
Oh, nice. You got it. Good.
There's just a second extension you have to install.
So you're a 10x developer now.
Well, let's see. I'm installing it right now in VS Code, the chat functionality, and I'm going to try to ask it a question. Do you have any burning questions?
Ask it if it could generate, how about a Nix config? What can it do that kind of stuff? Because that's what I'm doing all the time now. Or give it a basic, start. Could it start you like a basic Python project? I wonder.
Oh, that I could definitely do. That
you think you can do that? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's useful. That's useful, I guess. Doesn't feel very 10xy though, and I feel like we got to lean into this because we could claim that this show is hosted by a 10x developer, right? Like that's
man. Ooh, I like it.
Put it in the bio.
So where the hell is it? It says it installed it. See, this is
maybe they haven't rolled out the chat part yet.
Oh no, here it is. The standardization of how extensions work in VS Code does not exist. All right, it says, welcome, Dominic M. I'm your Copilot, and I'm here to help you. There's a voice feature, too. Wow.
Yeah.
I can identify issues, blah, 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 generic questions.
You can ask it to generate unit tests for you. You can ask it to help debug stuff as well.
Actually, here's this functionality. Explain the selected code.
Seems, maybe you're jumping into an open source project. You're looking at something. I mean, it definitely feels like you're going to be at least a 2x developer, maybe a 1.2x developer.
All right, so I gave it a register function. It's a TypeScript. It does an API call to literally register a user in this app. All right, the selected code is a method called register. Nicely done. In the API service class, sure. Responsible as a post request. That's actually not bad. It tells you what the arguments are, the parameters, and then secondarily it saves the user to which storage service, which is because I'm doing Ionic in this one. So I like it. Okay, what was your question again?
Oh, I don't really know if I have one. I mean, I'm very critical of you're going to do 10 days of work in one with this.
Yeah. So what was your Nix question? Let's just see if it even.
Okay, ask it if it can generate a Nix configuration for a Samba server.
I always say, please, can you please generate it?
I always debate if I should say please or not, but it sends me down this spiraling rabbit hole, so I just don't do it.
A Nix config, you said, for a Samba server?
Yeah.
Config for a Samba, which I'm always not sure if I should put in all caps, but. All right, return. Let's see. Certainly, here's an example of a Nix config. We're going to throw this, because I know nothing about Samba, or Nix rather, into our Matrix chat. If you're not on Matrix, you should download Element or some other client and join us in our Matrix chat room.
Coder.show/Matrix.
All right. So this is what it gave me.
Okay. That's looking pretty legit.
I also like that it's internalized, that in dev mode, you always use password 123 because you'd hate to have to do caps or symbols when you're rushing.
And then it gives you a little brief description of what it's generated for you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually see where it says install the Samba package, but all the config for the shares and stuff is pretty similar to what I've set up at home. That's interesting.
I mean, that's pretty. Yeah, I don't think this is gonna. I don't know. See, the hype. I think I'm with you on that. I don't think this is putting too many people out of a job or anything like that. But
although you just became a Nix config guy, so
Well, honestly, I have to say where I've used ChatGPT for work stuff, it's mostly been helpful in the stupid admin stuff, right? All right, what package did I fail to install? Or, I could have given you an hour on how frustrating I find Azure, but we won't do that. So
yeah, that's what you need is have Copilot deal with the Azure stuff.
It's I had to ask it, just explain to me what this nonsense in Azure is. It's that is a security feature. God damn.
Can you put this in human terms? Yeah, boy, does that just suffer from the corporate speak.
The most confusing admin portal ever.
Hey, so other newsy thingy that happened while we would have missed this had we recorded on Monday. The Apple Vision Pro developer kits are going out in extremely limited quantities, I suspect. You got to check in with Apple. They will evaluate the worthiness of your project, i.e. it must be really like Vision OS focused.
Are you, Marco?
They're going to be sending out a limited amount of headsets that Apple will be taking back, and they will be checking in with the developers from time to time. They say, quote, regular contact to see how it's going. And then, you got to package it all up and ship it back. You also have to agree to keep it like in a locked room that is only accessible by the developers who are approved to work on the device. So, and that's approved by Apple.
This is just like console. This is like console dev kits used to be back in the day.
So you basically say you're a company. I know, but I mean, to me, this is so crazy. Like, your Apple gets your company to agree to tell your staff to limit who can get access to this thing. It's just like, basically, if you want to play ball, you have to let Apple force a little bit of your own company policy, and it's just
that's not uncommon though.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Right, especially if you've done like military contracting. There have been cases where like me and two other guys or one other guy could see literally we'd do our daily stand up with the whole team, like, and we're working on something else, and we can't tell you.
Yeah,
it's not uncommon, and especially like super paranoid. I mean, brands, right, are there was, I can't say who it is. There was this one company where we were doing like a mobile customer support app, PWA, and they were so worried that someone would find out about their new support flow for their customers that they had NDAs that were literally longer than the Navy's.
I could see that being Apple. The question I have is,
how did you know?
Do you think because of this kind of really locked down approach, we're going to see a lot less information come out than we were hoping? I was sort of...
No, it's not going to work.
Yeah, you think we'll still get deets?
We'll get deets.
I hope, because that's part of my, I'm saving up my pennies in the meantime, but I'm going to be looking at this information that comes out to really make the final call.
I mean, people are already tripping over themselves to write their, Vision OS focused blog. What the hell is happening on my computer?
Is it going to bite you?
I don't know. I downloaded that Arc browser, and apparently I typed the A wrong and opened it. I didn't know a web browser had like an intro video.
Yeah, don't you remember the good old days when things... Remember? Oh, yeah, got to have a little intro to your web browser, a little video.
Oh, my God. I hate video. I hate video ads. I hate video. Notice it's been, 12 years now, and I still don't do video.
Can I tell you, I'm a little bit more bullish again on VR.
Oh, no.
Low key, though. So my youngest daughter recently had her birthday, and she wanted an Oculus for her birthday. I picked her up a used Quest 2 for $250. That's
good.
Yeah, that's a pretty good deal. And they support family sharing of applications or account sharing. And my middle child also, for her birthday, wanted an Oculus. Same deal. I gave her mine, but she's perfectly happy with it. And they looked at the Apple one. So since they were both interested, I showed them the Vision Pro video, and their response is, Dad, that looks like it's for work. I want the Quest because it's for gaming. And they really enjoy it. They have some co-op game that they can play together in there.
You can still fight Darth Vader in the Quest.
I mean, there's something about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they'll keep chipping away at it.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I always come back to like it's $3,500. I definitely could see enterprise uses, but are you really like? I can't see me buying this as a gaming thing. I just can't.
No, not this one. Well, maybe. I mean, they got an M2 in there, so maybe. We'll see. I want to mention our members are really like the foundation of the show these days. As the adpocalypse sets in, coderqa.co is a way you can support the show directly with a monthly membership. You get an ad-free version of the show, and which there is still a sponsor in there. And you get the quarterly when we post one each quarter. And the just happy satisfaction of knowing you're investing directly in the Coder Radio program. So the program is coderqa.co, or you can support the entire network at jupiter.party. And also you can boost in. You can boost in by either getting a brand new app at newpodcastapps.com and try out Podcasting 2.0. One of our shows very soon will be featuring some brand new Podcasting 2.0 features. And that's at newpodcastapps.com. Or you can do it from the web, getalby.com. You top that off either directly in the app or using something like the Cash app. Then head on over to the Podcast Index, podcastindex.org. We'll have a link in the notes for all this. And you can just boost right there from our entry on their website. That supports the show, and a portion of your boost goes to our editor directly, Drew. It goes to the developers of Fountain FM, Podverse, myself, and of course the whole network. And then we'll be reading your boost a little bit later in the show. So thank you everybody who supports either through the membership program, through the boost, or through both. We really appreciate it right now. So let's talk about, is it Gigi or is it Gigi? I actually never heard her name.
Gigi-san. Gigi.
Gigi. All right, so let's talk about Gigi. She was, I guess, Biden's pick to be the commissioner for the FCC. And you tell me that there was a lot of forces at play. It seems like this was a really political one.
Yeah, this has been going on for a long time.
She's a big net neutrality supporter.
Yes, she's a net neutrality supporter. She, in the past, was an advocate for internet access, particularly for like rural people and poor people. Sorry for our European audience. This is all going to be very U.S.-centric for a little bit. So a thing you have to remember, especially if you're not from the States, is our internet relative to places like Korea and, Europe, even like Eastern Europe, sucks. It is significantly more expensive for significantly poorer service.
Yes, a fact I'm reminded by our audience around the world all the time.
If you've ever played StarCraft online from the States, I firmly believe the reason the South Koreans are so goddamn good is because they have like triple the bandwidth and no lag.
Ooh, I like this. Not quite bacon.
Not bacon. Kimchi, maybe, I don't know. But so Gigi was an advocate in the past, and like all of us, she sent some interesting tweets. They weren't like crazy Elon or crazy Mike tweets. They were, hey, it really sucks that like poor kids can't have good internet, which I gotta say, yeah, it does suck. I don't know about your kids, Chris, but my kids going into the second grade, and they heavily rely on tablets and basically internet-enabled testing and prep work, stuff like that.
Although nobody ever asked, maybe should we not do that?
I think it's a terrible
maybe the better.
idea, but it's,
yeah, maybe we should have just gone the other way.
But I see why the teacher likes it, because she doesn't have to grade anything, right?
Oh no, for sure. It really improves things in so many ways.
So she gets a hearing, and I wish we had clips because it's quite the show. The Congress critters did not want to discuss like the actual problem, i.e., why do some towns in rural America only have DSL? Why are people resorting to HughesNet? No offense to HughesNet, but it's basically like a third-tier satellite internet service.
Yeah. Why are my two options where are the studio at? Comcast or Comcast Business? You can pick one.
And you should always lie, get the business one, even if you're not a business.
I do.
Yeah.
But I pay out the nose for it as a result.
Sure
and it's 300 megabits, and I'm paying nearly $400 a month.
So a couple years ago, I lived in a different town called Plant City, and the section of Plant City I lived in only had Spectrum, which is the cable internet provider. Now where I live, they have both Spectrum and a company called Frontier, which is like it used to be Verizon down here. Do you know my bill for more service is half of what the bill used to be in Plant City?
Really?
All because there are two providers at the same level. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
And one of them is Spectrum. So it's the same company.
After being at the studio, I mean, I've owned this property for, I don't know, maybe 14, 15 years. And just this last month, there's another company slowly running fiber down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And wouldn't you know it, Comcast starts calling, wanted to renegotiate my contract, which I'm just not having. I'm going to be switching.
You switch. You got to go fiber all the way. I mean,
this is the state of the AI discussion, cryptocurrency discussion, and the state of internet access. Is it all devolves into partisan attacks, right? Because she's a politically charged character because she co-founded the Public Knowledge group, and they've taken public stances about censoring conservatives, shutting down and delicensing Fox News and delicensing Sinclair, which is a pretty aggressive, it's a pretty aggressive censorship move. So she kind of entered into, I think, the targets of politics.
She did, but it's important to note that she does not believe, right? She testified that
she did.
She was on the side of the conservatives, even though she admittedly is a hardcore progressive, right?
Yeah.
Because she just thinks, I mean, her basic premise is the incumbents are too powerful.
Yep.
Have we mentioned Comcast already, haven't we? AT&T, Comcast, Verizon, all those good old boys. And they're basically choking off competition and innovation, which I don't care how, red or blue you are, that just seems obvious to me. But she got lambasted for that. Yeah, so for example, Comcast, AT&T, Verizon, all the big boys spent record-breaking money lobbying to shut her down.
Yep.
Such that the Biden administration, there was a good story on this, I think, on the New York Times. I think it was The Verge did a good one too, but I think it was I don't remember who wrote it. But it doesn't matter. You can look it up. It was getting this through was going to be basically impossible and blow all Biden's political capital because AT&T and Comcast in particular hate her so much. Why? Because she wants net neutrality and she wants to put our internet service and pricing on par with, let's say, I don't know, France, right? Whatever.
And you remember, so Trump put in that Ajayi Pai, I can't quite remember how you pronounce his name.
The man who hasn't seen a merger he didn't want to make passionate Barry White love to, yes.
Right. Well, I believe he came from the telco industry, right? Wasn't his
Sure did.
Yeah, and he dismantled net neutrality regulations, which I actually don't have a stance on. I've heard it argued pretty well on both sides. But yeah, so Trump brought this guy in who was a former industry guy, or probably a current industry guy.
I think we call that an industry plant, according to the kids.
And he just slides right in, He
had his giant coffee cup that he always carried.
And he didn't really seem up to the job or qualified for the job ever, in my opinion.
You ever listen to an interview with him? He would just straight up tell you he loves mergers. He's like, I think this is great. What are you talking about?
Yeah. It's very much a 180 contrast between these two picks.
Well, and we talked a couple months ago about the story where the city of New York was trying to pay Verizon to lay fiber. And at some point, Verizon was like, this is just too expensive for us. We're not going to do it. And they didn't do it. And New York sued and lost, right? It's just like these companies are in a lot of ways more powerful than the local government.
And it can be really awful for folks that live in apartment buildings or certain condo situations where they basically have a central provider and you kind of just have to opt into that.
You're splitting the same line effectively.
Yeah. I'm going to crap all over Elon later in the show, so I'll say something positive now. And that is Starlink really is a breath of fresh air, and it does work. I use it every single day. I'm parked out in the woods right now, off grid, and I have Starlink, so I have 100 megabit internet connection. And it truly gave me a chance to break away from Verizon and AT&T, which was much worse and much more expensive. So it's I really don't know what the solution is for having a bunch of junk up in space, and I don't want to see a dozen companies launch satellite internet services, but
yeah,
it really is. It has been a fundamental resource for people that were completely off grid and off the territories that AT&T or Verizon or T-Mobile or any of the carriers could ever even care about. So it really has. I think it's been a lifesaver. I think it's been a utility in the military as well, which is an interesting dynamic, and it's been a big change for my family. It's like we have residential internet everywhere we go now.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
It is really cool. I would just like there's one thing before we move on.
Mm-hmm.
The same lobbyists and the same companies that fought good old Gigi here also have been aggressively slowing down Google Fiber's outlay. Remember years ago, we started the show, we thought we're all going to have Google Fiber. Yeah, that didn't happen. And municipal Wi-Fi, which is basically just like county or city provided internet.
Do you remember our old sponsor Ting?
Oh, poor Ting.
Yeah, man. They really tried. They tried hard on Ting Fiber and Ting Wi-Fi, and they just hit wall after wall after wall. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're interested in this stuff, especially if you're from South Korea and would like to stop dunking on me, you can read some of the stories from just local municipalities, local city council meetings of $1 million lobbyists showing up and just shutting everything down. Like throwing money at it. We're talking down to the level of like a city councilwoman. They're just throwing her $1 million and like, yeah, you're not doing that. All because they don't. It's not even that they want to. I'm sure they would love to kill all their competition, but they just don't want to have to do anything. Like they poorly maintain their networks. They don't expand their network. They don't upgrade. Right. A lot of your. I hate to dunk on Comcast. Who am I kidding? A lot of your Comcast stuff is still old ass copper. So yeah. God damn it. With all love and respect to South Korea.
Tailscale.com/coder. Go on over there to get it for free for 100 devices. on a personal account. Unlimited subnets, and it's a great way to support the show. So it's tailscale.com/coder. Simple, secure mesh network for a team of any size, an individual or an enterprise. It's all built on top of WireGuard. It's a zero config VPN that you can get up and running on your devices in just minutes. Mobile devices, servers, virtual devices, VPSs. In fact, I want to mention, congratulations to the iOS team over there at Tailscale. They've released the new Tailscale for iOS, and it's completely rewritten with Swift UI, and it's so clean and even faster. I use Tailscale on my iOS devices. I use it on my Android device, and then I can sync all of my information via Nextcloud over my Tailscale connection. I never have to expose my Nextcloud server to the public internet. This is fantastic for development environments, and something that you can do that is just perfect. My buddy Alex and I are doing this right now, is you can share a single resource or a port with someone else that has Tailscale, and it'll show up on their Tailnet. So right now, my buddy Alex and I are experimenting with various services that we want to review for self-hosted. And he set up a couple of different applications, and we share that on our Tailnet, and it is so smooth. It doesn't matter if we've got firewalls between us or even double carrier NAT, Tailscale just works. It allows you to get up and going in just minutes. It builds a mesh network where machines talk directly to each other, all protected by the noise protocol, and Tailscale makes it all easy to manage in a web UI. You got to try it, and if you go to tailscale.com/coder, you get it for free for up to 100 devices. This is going to fundamentally change the way you do networking, and in a big positive way. Go see what WireGuard can really do combined with the magic of Tailscale. Tailscale.com/coder. We got to talk about this for a little bit. I know. Twitter is really the never-ending story, and we have opted to pull back on the coverage because there's just always something stupid going on to stay in the headlines. Yeah. However, how do you reach your audience, right? How do you reach, if you're trying to sell an app, if you're trying to promote a service, if you want to reach clients and establish yourself? Like, I've been thinking a lot about this. Like, I have this problem too. It's like, there's still a place for these frickin' social networks, but this is just ridiculous. Twitter has officially changed its logo to an X. This move comes after Elon Musk announced the change over the weekend. He made his people work through the weekend. He rolled this change out on a Sunday. So he made, everybody that's involved with web assets and the art team, they basically had to pull the whole weekend.
That's how you know it's serious.
On October, you and I caught that Elon Musk said his acquisition of Twitter was, quote, an accelerant to creating X, the, quote, everything app. So I thought, why don't we take a little step in the Wayback Machine here? In 1999, X.com was an online bank co-founded by Elon Musk, along with Harris Frickler, Christopher Payne, and Ed Ho in Palo Alto, California. In the year 2000, X.com merged with Confetti Inc., a software company also based in Palo Alto. They had a special easy payment system that Elon was interested in. That company, after it was all done and merged, changed its name to PayPal. In 2017, Elon reacquired the X.com name from PayPal after they were sold to eBay years ago for $1.5 billion. In 2015, PayPal was then spun off and became its own independent company again. So he bought it in 2017 again. He's been holding on to X.com. He's used it for various crap over the years to point it to the Boring Company and whatnot. And on Twitter, he writes, the Twitter name made sense when it was just 140 characters. Messages going back and forth like birds tweeting. But now you can post almost anything, including several hours of video. In the months to come, we will add comprehensive communications and make the ability to conduct your entire financial world. The Twitter name does not make sense in that context. This is brand suicide. To take something like tweet, when you post on Twitter, you're tweeting. It's a common phrase. It would be akin to Google abandoning everybody referring to searching as Googling. They're the Kleenex of social media. And what are we going to X now? I'm going to go X. Just as an aside, as a branding thing, it's horrible.
It sounds like something that would have been in like a 2004 X Games commercial to try to get like teenagers to be like, you got to go X, man. Get your Monster Energy drink and a skateboard.
It has late 90s vibes to me.
Yeah, which is what it's from.
No kidding. All right, so let's talk about the financial stuff. I want to play you a brief clip. This is an interview with Elon. Let's get it in his own words.
Essentially, if done right, the X would be would serve people's financial needs to such a degree that over time it would become, I don't know, maybe half of the global financial system.
Wow.
Or some big number.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the number is, but pretty big. So it would be by far the biggest sort of financial institution. But like I said, not really in the way that people are used to thinking about banks.
Mm-hmm.
Just the most efficient database for the thing that is money. Like I said, like least amount of fraud. Everything's real time. And if it involves money in any way, it can be dealt with seamlessly on one location.
The future of money. Half the world's transactions in one place. The Everything app. How ludicrous do you think this idea is?
Well, one, this has kind of been his hobby horse literally since the 90s, right?
Yep.
So he's being consistent.
Who wants this? This just sounds like a centralized coin because it's basically the Elon Bank without FDIC insurance. It's crazy.
Well, I don't think the federal government would let it happen anyway. I mean, we see the closest thing to this is like a WeChat in China, right? Or at Alibaba. And I don't know, remember what happened to Jack Ma when he got a little too big for Xi Jinping's bridges?
Well, they did actually just announce an investigation.
Of course they did. Because why not? All right, they made him disappear for a couple of weeks too, right? As a business proposition, who wouldn't want to be the middleman for all the financial transactions in the country or the world?
You know, it is the same pitch that Sam Bankman-Fried made. He also wanted to make
it's
everything
verbatim the same.
It is. And
Yeah.
I think it's because it resonates with Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe that's how you start to make back this 44 billion hole is, you just try to build to this thing. I tell you, nobody wants this product. It's so funny how companies, once all this money gets on the line, they have no choice but to just like start building in everything. You know what's going to be next, right? It's like some sort of Slack real-time chat. They're going to have that. They're going to have some sort of file storage thing, because they're going to be the everything app. So they're going to have to do stocks. They're going to basically have to take all the functionality of the Cash App, and they'll probably back the whole thing with something like Dogecoin or something ridiculous like that.
Well, no, they're going to end up being shut down.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's and unfortunately, because he's Elon and can't like not piss off the federal government, it's going to be the swiftest regulatory action we've ever seen.
All right, you want to hear my bacon about it?
Bacon.
I think it's all just a marketing stunt. He does these things because I think Elon believes that Twitter needs to have a thing of the week. That's why he launched it on Sunday. So that way everybody be talking about it Monday morning. And it'll be the thing of the week on Twitter for the week that all of the Twitters are going on about. And in a week or so, he'll roll it back just like he did the Doge logo that was on the site. And it's just he needs to drive traffic to this thing. Ultimately, this probably is the direction he wants to go. But I bet the bird comes back. That's my prediction, but I'm not 100%. It's a prediction I give with 70% confidence. Just simply watching his behavior and hearing his comments, he thinks Twitter needs a character of the day and a controversy of the week. And you remember when the Wagner Group was going in and was supposedly going to go get Putin? One of the number one boosters that really got that rolling on social media was Elon.
Yep.
Pragmatically, his account gets the most exposure, and he hit that right in the morning for the East Coast. He dropped that on Twitter, and it just lit up. And the speculation about Wagner Group coming to overthrow Putin and everything just turned up to 11 that day. And then what happened to the Wagner Group? It was speculation for a week. And he does this. He rolls out at the beginning of the week and it's like he is treating it like content, like it's a content channel that people can chew on. I suspect this is all just a big marketing hype scam, and maybe to get the idea rolling and to get it in the idea of investors and whatnot.
Okay, I have some even thicker bacon. I think he's actually looking to get some equity in here, some equity investors. And yeah, you hit it I think perfectly. This is the kind of thing that if you tell your financial guy, finance bro, during lunch, he will not only order you another round of drinks, but he might actually start loosening his collar because he's so excited. And it's true. I'm not just picking on those guys, right? It's Apple, right, has proved this. It is far better to be the middleman, the platform, the king of the platform, with your beautiful tax collectors, than to actually be building the end product.
Right.
Right. It's would you rather own the app store or be an app developer?
And they're also going to be a new level, a new type of identity provider. When you get the Twitter blue check, or when you participate in, one of the financial capabilities of this X app, you have to identify yourself. You have to KYC to Twitter, and you pay for that privilege, right? You pay $8 a month for that privilege, and then they sell you as a verified individual to advertisers. In fact, you get just as many ads in your Twitter feed as I do, and I don't pay. I'm not saying you specifically, just blue checks.
Yeah.
And the whole idea is to create an online community of verified people that are great to sell services and ads to, that are a extra higher tier because of this verification. That blue check means you're good to go. They know who you are. That ad is being viewed by a real person. That is so exponentially valuable to the advertising community. I can't even overstate it. It's where all the money's at right now. That's, I think, the end game, and just warming people up to all of this. I bet the bird comes back.
Because the San Francisco police won't let him take the sign down.
Yeah. Also, did you notice, basically, it looks like the old X11 logo? It looks like the old X11 logo.
It looks, well, the first thing I thought was like Weapon X, like Wolverine from the X-Men. I heard the damn song from the old cartoon. Da-na-na, and I'm like, yeah, it's really not good. Like, you owned one of the most well-known, at least, brands in the world, and you decided to take a on that.
Yeah, but he's used X.com for other marketing gimmicks in the past, for like the Boring Company, and I think for Tesla.
I mean, I don't want to harp on Elon too much, but you know what? Aren't you getting tired of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, the SpaceX stuff is super cool, super interesting. Happy to talk about that all day long.
Sure.
But you know what? I'm still on the wagon with Twitter, and I got to tell you, I think it's like one of the best things I've done. Just putting the tweet bird, whatever it is, down. The X, I guess I should say the bottle with 3 X's on it. Just putting that down, not getting in stupid fights about, Objective-C or blah, 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 politics. And I don't miss it. You did bring up a good point. How do you drive traffic to your various, products and content? Definitely a little bit of a change there, but it was mostly bad traffic from Twitter. Like traffic that was either like spam or people just kind of looky-looing. Not like my sales numbers are exactly the same without spending money on Twitter. No, I don't do the ads anymore, stuff like that.
I wonder, just a quick poll, anybody in the chat watching live right now because of my post on Twitter? I've been debating just not bothering when we go live. Who cares, right? I mean, I don't know. It's just.
I think we already know that the download audience is significantly larger than the live, right?
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. I maybe it's because it became too like political and fighting about. But even like the tech Twitter started getting. How many stories have we had where like somebody was a jerk to somebody on Twitter, and it like messed up a project? Right? Yeah,
and to be honest with you, this changes when he starts talking about being a central bank everything app. I am not here for that.
No,
that's a change. You just no. I'm not interested. Not interested.
You remember Futurama?
Yes.
The mom corporation. That's what he wants to do, effectively.
Yeah, and it's X. Yeah, you're right. Unless Sam Altman beats him to it, because today, as we record,
that's sneaky. I called it.
WorldCoin has officially launched the WLD token, which is already down like 20%.
As coins will be.
It's running on this crap blockchain network, but none of that really matters. This is the coin we talked about that has facial ID orb scanning that wants to tie your identity and then give everybody coins to do biometric verified purchases, which sounds like a lot of fun.
Terrible.
And in their announcement, they have a little cute line in here too, which definitely seems nice and creepy. Quote, WorldCoin is an attempt at global scale alignment. What the hell does that mean?
It means nothing.
I don't know, man. That sounds like some gross like altruism thinking.
It sounds like the bad guys in every sci-fi movie. That's the thing they would have started with.
Well, and speaking of the bad guys, a fourth of the entire supply of the coins that will ever be created, which is supposed to be for the entire human race, a fourth of the supply is distributed to investors and developers.
Nice.
And as soon as there's a pre-mine, you're out. That's how it works. And Sam Altman is going to try to pitch this as a way to verify us against bots, which he's hyping up and going around and creating scare. You know, they were just at the White House this last week.
Ugh.
They promised on, committing to internal and external security testing of their systems. And they promised to share information. And they promised to not focus on certain areas and focus more on like things like climate change. But they're going to self-audit, essentially.
Well, hang on, though. The agreement, they are also going to have external security reviews. Now, there's a lot of hand-wavy stuff in here, like we don't know what it means. The most concrete thing, at least that I saw, was AI content will now have some sort of digital watermarking. Did you see this one?
Indeed, yeah.
So that's like super interesting, and I'm so glad I had the next phase of the Alice marketing stuff generated already. Whoops. I do have to edit it because it's not that great, right? Like I keep in conversations with, meat space friends and my wife, calling Sam Altman Sam Bankman-Fried because he seems to be getting closer to sounding like him, pre getting arrested in the Bahamas.
Well, and according to dealroom.co, link in the show notes, Sam Bankman-Fried is indeed one of the investors in WorldCoin.
Of course he is.
Along with Anderson Horowitz, who has also been one of the primary investors in all of these altcoin pump and dumps. Coinbase Ventures, who of course wants a little piece of the action, is in here as well. Bunch of other ones. Gavin Wood's in here, Day One Ventures, lots of VCs that are known for pumping and dumping.
All the usual suspects.
Three Arrows Capital,
wow.
Three Arrows Capital was one of the funds that collapsed and caused some of the crypto market to absolutely crap the bed. Yep. So the usual suspects are the backers of this, and they've all been given a mass amount of the coin. And they have a website where you can go and schedule an appointment with an orb in a city near you. They have locations in Berlin, Dubai, London, Mexico City, Miami, New York City, San Francisco, Tokyo, and others. They've expanded to 80 countries and are on track to expand that to 120. So you can go make an appointment online with an orb, and then you go scan your face, and they'll give you some coins in a crypto wallet that they control, that they build. The orbs are completely closed source. No one can audit what the orbs run on if they have any security vulnerabilities at all. These guys are going to be the ultimate middlemen.
Also, orbs, again, with the sci-fi villain stuff, really.
This is a litmus test, right? If you buy into this and you go get your face scanned and you start trying to promote WorldCoin,
don't do that.
It's a litmus test, and we know you're an idiot. That's how we know. It's like, that person's an idiot, and it's really simple now, so that's nice.
So is this like every DMV should ask you that before you try to sign up for a driver's license?
Yeah, there you go.
Would you like to buy some WorldCoin as well? Sure. I'm sorry, sir. You have to leave. This nice sheriff's deputy will escort you out.
It's funny because this optimism project that they are based on is kind of like one of these super MVP crypto SDKs that basically has a couple of developers at a company creating it and doing code dumps from time to time over the wall. Like if you go check out the Optimism GitHub, it's very obvious what's going on.
Here's our tar file.
But you can and then you can grab that, white label it, and use some of their infrastructure, and you're good to go. You're good to go.
Oh,
so yeah,
man, it's interesting how much smarter Sam Altman is than Sam Bankman-Fried. It seems.
Yeah, he's going.
Right,
he's going straight to the White House.
He just like, what, they're going to be criticizing me anyway, so let me write the rules.
I'll lean
for
into
myself. It. Right. And I got to tell you, it's very vague, which one could mean it means nothing. But if it has any teeth whatsoever, this agreement, and it becomes actually enforceable, right? Because the next step is make this a law. It's really good for OpenAI, really good for Google, really good for Microsoft, really bad for any upstart. Because now you automatically have these shackles, these I mean, these extra regulatory compliance issues.
I have to say, I think this is better than what we were going to get with Schumer's, your Chucky Boys proposal. I think this is better than that. Because remember what Chuck wanted was a council that would review every single innovation at each step and then would have a complete audit of all of your sources for training.
You've invented the VAT version of innovation.
And so what we have now instead is just sort of, a gentleman's, or I guess a handshake agreement between the White House and several prominent AI companies about auditing what they're going to focus on, what they won't focus on, and sharing information. Now, that is a lot less enforceable. It's got a lot less teeth, but it is a political priority for the Biden administration, especially with a presidential election coming up. So they're going to have a close eye to make sure that at least for the first few years, these companies do stick to this agreement because they don't want the political blowback of some sort of AI situation blowing up in their face. So there will be a couple of years, I would imagine, of pretty tight compliance, and then it'll just drift from there.
Well, what's going to happen is this is the problem with trying to regulate any of this stuff. The technology is going to change faster than the regulation. And, I am sure these companies agreed to nothing that would actually hamstring them, right?
I want to know if WorldCoin came up in that meeting at the White House. Like, we got a solution, Mr. President.
I think Hunter bought some.
That's why it's pumping today. Oh, that's why. That explains it. Wow. All right. Well, some good links in the notes, including more information about that White House secret deal, little promise, little nod, all that. It's not.
It's a secret handshake. You know how it goes.
And now it is time for Le Boost.
CO Barros came in with 13,370 sats using Podverse. They write, this recent Red Hat drama got me thinking. Sounds like the people who are talking about freedom and community in reality are upset because they're afraid of losing money they make over a paid product that's also been given for free. Something that's always boggled my mind, to be honest. This reminds me of a developer I met that was an expert at Objective-C and got upset when Apple announced Swift.
That's a low. That is a low. That is a low blow.
That is so low. That is so low.
Yeah, but he's actually right? It's just you're afraid of losing money. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, too, it's like there's this is the way it's always been. How could you dare change the deal? And
who moved my cheese? Yep.
And it's free. I got a really nice thing. It was a good thing I had going for free, and now you just took my free thing away. Or I have to go through more hoops to get my free thing, perhaps in this.
Right, and, IBM bought Red Hat, and I'm sure there's still some residual fees about that. So.
Sir Alex Gates, the Podcasting 2.0 consultant, comes in with 12,345 sats.
Coming in hot with the boost.
Respectable.
Getting involved with open source communities for membership and even friendship is definitely the right way to go. Shout out to Kevin from #Python and #PyGames on Freenode IRC channels all those years ago and introduced me to Coder Radio. Oh, that's great. If you're feeling guilty about asking others for help, keep in mind that we all want more people to help us tackle the gargantuan amount of work. Yeah. Don't be afraid to ask for help. They need help. Thank you, Sir Alex Gate. We appreciate that. We got a row of ducks from Scott, 2,222 sats using Podverse. Far be it for me, a single guy, to tell you how to parent. I usually agree with your takes on ChatGPT and others, but Chris, outsourcing bedtime stories to OpenAI servers? It's a little sad. I'm certain you can impromptu something super fun without using ChatGPT. Regardless, glad you're having fun making up stuff with it. It's one of the best uses. I've been telling bedtime stories for 40 years.
It's okay because Sam Altman and Joe Biden, now Chris has to actually tell his kids that he got it from ChatGPT.
Yeah, I do tell them when I do a ChatGPT one. They love them. They like them because it's like when dad's tired and like, oh, I don't want to do it. I just want to go to bed. It's like, all right, I'll do that.
Well, my story is that I make up for my sons sometimes take weird turns. It's like,
oh yeah.
And then the rabbit didn't pay his invoice. And so a fox came and turned off all his servers. What?
The reason why ChatGPT came to me as an idea is because my stories were just getting kind of repetitive.
Yeah.
I was running out of juice. It'd been a long time. We got 9,999 sats from Cairo, Kiro, using Podverse. Boost! Regarding the U.S. military email snafu, I'd assume that those military emails would be encrypted, So in the worst case, it's probably unavoidable when the message gets into the wrong hands. It would not be readable, at least without a proper key. But I'm guessing I expect some kind of serious competency level from government institutions, and that's probably just too much.
You're not right. I mean, they can be, but they're not.
Thank you for the boost, KIRO. Now, my question to you is, do you think that the metadata that would just be the to and from would be enough time, things like that? Perhaps you don't even need the content of the message. Yeah, I would hope they would be encrypted, but I kind of doubt it. Neural LP sent 5,999 sats with no message, and VT52 came in with 6,667 sats. Using Podverse. Grumpy old dev here. If I had $1 for every junior developer that I assumed existing practices were the result of folks not keeping up with the times or whatever, well, I'd be able to quit my corporate job. Here's some advice. Challenge assumptions. Ask senior folks why things are the way they are. They may teach you more than those YouTubers. Mm-hmm. Or maybe they are stagnant and you should start a hunt for a new job. Probably either way you want to know. Thanks, VT. Appreciate the boost. Remaking Eden comes in with 10,000 sats using Fountain. It might be overkill, but I saw this open source self-hosted version of Jira the other day, which might just be worth looking at. It's called Plane, Plane. It's on GitHub or Make Plane. I'm not sure, but I'll take a look. A Jira alternative? Could it really be? Could such a thing exist? I'll dig in and find out.
It's an old dream.
I am thinking Kanban. I am going to go Kanban. Probably start making some Kanbans for Linux Fest Northwest soon.
Ooh.
Mere Mortals podcast comes in with a row of ducks. It's been almost 7 years since I last had a work meeting. Oh! I imagine this is what Benjamin Button felt like. Every further day, I'm fresher and younger. And I hope to continue this by becoming a value for value expert. 7 years? 7 years? How do I live that life? I work for myself and I'm still drug into meetings all the time.
I want more information on this one.
It's really impressive in business how quickly things immediately go to let's have a call.
Yeah.
And man, and more do I hate that. I've been trying to say no more. But then I've had some people that have circled back and then have continued to push for the meeting. It is what it is, I suppose. Yeah. All right, moving on. Cultivator comes in with a lucky row of 8,888 sats.
Fun will now commence.
Yes, I've always been under the assumption that Satoshi was a government entity. There's no way a single individual could have done what he did and remain anonymous, in my opinion. That just smells like alphabet soup. I have a theory. I think it might have been 2 individuals, and I think one of them died from cancer, perhaps.
That's very specific.
I'm not going to say who, but I got a suspicion.
Ooh.
I agree. It almost seems too much for one individual to figure out. But then they didn't invent proof of work, right? That was invented before them. So Satoshi put a lot of components together and then brought in a few core innovations. So it's possible if you look at it as if it's really kind of standing on the shoulders of other open source projects, then it seems a little more feasible. Jin from Matique comes in with 6,333 sats. You guys were talking about Trello last episode. I just wanted to share one great Kanban and ticketing tool. Since a year ago I moved to a new company as a support engineer, I saw they were using Jira and Confluence as most tech companies. But I was given the choice to look for my own favorite tool to do ticketing system for a new client instead of using Jira. So after a few weeks of comparing FreeScout, Open Supports, OS Ticket, Request Tracker, Zuni, even Old's OTRS, Zamad, and Tulip, I found the best agile tool out there. Taiga.io, Taiga.io. It has a limited free plan that's now open for unlimited users and projects. It's Docker-based, so you can self-host it if you want. My plan would be to replace Confluence with this. Discussing with DevOps at a FOSS event once, he told me that he found an outlier called getoutline.com, and it's checking all my boxes. You put the two together, you got something. Getoutline.com and Taiga, Taigai.io. Don't listen to me. I'll just put them both in the notes. I didn't get enough sleep to actually read crazy URLs. Names on the web. But it does look really, really good. I'm showing it on the live stream right now. For cross-functional, agile teams to work effectively. A feature-rich software that offers a very simple start through its intuitive user interface. There you go. Maybe that's how you become a 10x developer. You get Taiga.
We're going to spend the next 100 episodes trying to figure that out, aren't we?
Yep.
Yep.
I think that's probably it. Shoham G says, hope these sats keep you warm in the winter. It is a handsome row of ducks. Ad Winter is here. He says, I'm planning on boosting more regularly with what little I can. That said, Sam Altman is the Madoff of our times. Can't wait till he's behind bars. Oh, a spicy prediction, Soham.
Sam Altman or Sam Bankman?
I say both.
All right, that is a strong. That you want to make that your prediction? I like it.
I say he's coming in hot. You know what? He is coming in hot.
Coming in hot with the boost.
He says a below average janitor does more productive work than either them, but he says than Sam and most of the VC backed bros. # comrade radio.
So I want to tell you, I used to be a janitor, and that was one of the hardest, literally shittiest jobs I ever had.
Oh.
Yeah. It makes you really want to open that company at 19 because one day he will have cleaned your last toilet.
Okay. Loudon Packs just sent us a row of ducks and just says quack. Thank you, everybody who boosted in. We got 13 boosters, 14 boost total, and a total sats of 82,589. Nowhere near the 500,000 sats. So I'm going to set the bar lower. I'm going to set it to a 200,000 sat bar for next week's episode. Let's see if we can get there, and then we'll work from there. 200,000 will be our goal. But thank you, everybody who did boost in. Of course, thank you to our members as well. You can boost in without switching podcast apps. If you get Alby, getalby.com, and then head over to the podcast index or try out some of the new features, transcripts, cloud chapters, all kinds of nice things, including the boost, live stream support, and a lot more. Newpodcastapps.com. Is there anywhere you want to send the good people, Mr. Dominic?
I'll send them to alice.dev. We are working on the new version, and I'm going to give you an estimate, 3 weeks, and that's going to be wrong because it's an estimate, but hey. But if you are interested in some good old automation goodness, you should get in now because I'm pulling a Microsoft and raising the prices in a couple months.
There you go. Get in while the price is still the old classic price.
The old classic.
Going to call it classic? We made legacy price? I think classic. Classic price. Something like that.
True.
I'll mention the chat room. We love having you there in the chat room all throughout the week and especially during the live show. You'll find out when we're live by being in there too. Coder.show/matrix for that. It's our general Coder Radio chat room if you're already in the matrix. And links to what we talked about today are at coder.show/528. I encourage you to check the show notes out this week. There's some good stuff in there. And of course, our subscribe page is over at coder.show. That contact form, you can email in. We love getting your feedbacks. Even if we don't read them on the show, we'll read them, and I often try to respond the day before the show or something like that. So it's always worth getting in touch at coder.show/contact as well. Thanks so much for tuning this week's episode. If you want to share the episode, we really appreciate that. Word of mouth is a fantastic way to market a podcast because who's going to listen to an hour-long show unless they get a recommendation, right? Appreciate that. All right, that's it from us. See you right back here next week.